Welcome back to another episode of Producergrind Podcast. Carrington and JB with me.
What's good?
Yo.
And we got a special guest here today. Definitely a little bit different. Definitely our first episode like this. We had a lot of requests for episodes like this. Definitely, a lot of producers have, messaged in and being like, yo, we need this. So, and a lot of producers are left out in the dark, when it comes to the legal side and their rights and publishing like that. Both, producers that are just getting started and producers that are already in the industry. We've sat down with producers that kind of, they're getting places you would think they know a lot, but, they kind of like, nah, I really don't. But, man, please welcome to the episode, man, entertainment lawyer Karl Fowlkes, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's love.
Already, man. Appreciate you pulling up. First, how did you get started in being a lawyer?
Yeah. I mean, even before that, man, getting into music, like, a lot of my homies were even out in Atlanta. And one of my good friends was a guy named KJ. He's an A&R at RCA right now. He's working with like Nudie, but before then he was working with Nebu. I think Nebu was on this show.
Yeah.
So I was just in that camp, like when I was in law school. KJ was managing Nebu, and he just brought me on. I was doing a lot of legal / administrative work when I was in law school. But even outside of the KJ situation with I was also working with another guy named Zach, who's a homie from like high school where I'm from. I'm from like the greater Philly region. So Zach was doing a lot of like bigger projects, but not so much in rap. He was doing like a lot of like kids and like Nickelodeon guys, like stuff like that. Where the bag is though, he really came up. So I was just in there, like I was on that scene when I was in law school. But I wanted to get into the music business. I love the business part of it. I feel like the music is always great, but music people don't really value. I feel like the business part of it. It's like it's almost cliche. It's kind of almost bad when you present a contract in some of these rooms, and I'm like, yo, that's weird.
Now, what you mean, like?
Like, imagine if a producer was in a studio and he's working with a bigger artist, and he's like, yo, I just want to get these splits. I want to, let's sign something right now. Let's do some, like, everybody be like, that's weird. Like, what are you doing? Everyone in that room would be like, yo, get this guy out of here.
Right.
Like, I just felt like that was always like the weirdest thing ever. So I was like, all right, we have some big issues, especially on the producer side, but just in general, just improving the business quality. Like, there's a business quality gap in music that's disgusting. Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from? Do you think it's because a lot of it's just like off of word, like, yo, just take my word for it, or why?
I think a lot of people choose music because like they don't want to do like business. Like, it's like I'm an artist. Like, so you kind of separate those two things. But that's the weirdest concept again, because it's like when you're an artist, you're almost like you're the truest entrepreneur, right? You got to make money. You got to know your rights and situation. So it just always confused me. And the more I got into those rooms, the more I realized like, yo, this is the worst business I've ever seen. Because I have also like a financial sector background. I was working out of law school before I got fully into entertainment law. I was working at a big company called Bloomberg, and I was doing like corporate law. So I have that background as well. So it was just a hard business background. And then going back into the music industry and that side of things, I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, this needs to be cleaned up wholesale. There's just a lack of understanding of, your rights, your obligations, what you owe people. And then like the status quo was already messed up, like the producers getting points on records where, if you look at the publishing side where it's like, typically a producer gets half and the writers get the other half, right? You break that up. Why wouldn't that reflect on the master side? Why are artists maybe paying a producer $4,000 and maybe get a point, or
that's one thing I would wonder too.
Yeah, and then that record makes $1 million and the producer made like $8,000 off the record or something like that. It's weird. Like, I don't get it.
And this is something you see often, or is it kind of like?
Yeah, I think that's the standard until you get to a certain point. Like, it's almost hard to, one of my producers just got like a placement for like Atlantic Records, and he just got paid like 4 G's. And that's it though. It's like, all right, you ain't getting points. You just got 4 G's.
Really?
But you get your split. You still get your publishing, obviously, but on the master side, you just get your 4Gs and that's it. What if that record just goes crazy?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, is there at that point, does a producer like say they're like, nah, I don't want just that much. It's either we're gonna do more or I don't want the record to be put out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there almost needs to be like I ain't gonna call it a strike, but producers are gonna have to do something that like because some producers just say yes to everything.
Any sort of bag,
Yeah,
right?
any sort of bag, and it just sort of creates a standard, and it's like, all right, now they don't feel the need. They're just like, all right, we can just go to this direction because not every producer is on that same sort of understanding that we gotta we gotta really protect the bag and really protect producers. You see it all the time. Like, there's no respect for the producer, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
I got a question. So, understanding that they're not really trying to give producers half of the masters,
Yeah.
like making that a standard. If we go on strike and we ask for half of the masters, like for everything, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Do you think that would have like a negative effect on the whole music business? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Immediately, for sure, but I think it's always like a long-term thing. It's like always strikes have like there's always that pushback when like someone's fighting for the rights, like civil rights. Like I hate to go to that direction, but it's like, we was fighting for equality on that front, and it was crazy. It was a fight. There was a pushback against like equality, and it just I'm just looking at the breakdown of records, and and then if you think of rap and hip hop in particular, it's like the beat is so much more important than probably a lot of other genres. Like,
right.
people would be like, yo, it's the producer making that record or all that stuff. And, sometimes you don't even know who the producer is. And then you find out what that situation is, and he's not getting paid.
So can you break down what what the percentage or the breakup of a master is?
Yeah. I mean, like, say in a record deal, an artist signs like a standard record deal, right? He's getting this already sounds horrible, but he's getting 16 to maybe 20% of the master recording royalty.
So that's the artist. So that's every stream and every
so
iTunes
label's
sale?
getting 80%, 80 to 84%.
So when you say the master, so that's any stream, any digital sale, and then also what about like when it comes to sync license? Say that song, one of their songs based on a movie, they're getting 16% of that.
In a movie, yeah, they would get 16% too.
So pretty much you're getting.
But on that side, in a situation where it's a movie, the sync license has to be approved on both sides. So the songwriters and the publisher, if he wrote the song, so he has those rights on this side, and then you also gotta get clearance on the master side.
Gotcha.
So it's a two-part clearance on sync situation. So he might eat on both ends, but a producer is lucky to get, you hear like maybe a 4-point producer, which he's getting 4 points on a record, which is 4 percentage points of the 16 percentage points that the artist has on that record.
4% of the 16%?
Yeah. So that's 25%. It's not the worst. Like, to me, that's always
not
like,
the worst.
Yeah, that's like,
so you're getting 25% of what the artist gets.
Yeah, you're getting 25%. All right, so it's like, that's better. I mean, like, I'm not saying that's great, but I can live with that. I still don't think it's right. I think we can look at the landscape. I think Sunny Digital was talking about like maybe a producers union. I think that has to be the next step. Some sort of organizing body that's going to negotiate against some of the bigger parties that make, because I don't think producers should be on the front line of that war. It's just the attorneys and bigger producers should be on that front line, because on the back line, like right now, it's nasty, man. People don't appreciate producers. Like, that's just what it is. That's what I've grown to know.
Now, one thing I think about the producers union and the strike and stuff like that too is like, okay, you might get a whole bunch of producers to be for it, but there's plenty of producers sitting at home that are like, yo, whatever you got for me, I'll take. Man, fuck, if they don't want to work, I'll work. I'll take what they were turning down. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I say like it's really going to be it's like the important people in music are going to really have to be a part of it. Like Mustard, like Sunny Digital, Metro, like those guys really going to have to lead the frontline war, because what they say to some extent like will go, and they just have a better negotiating chip, higher. They're going to come into that room and people want to listen because it's Sunny and Metro and those guys.
No,
I think it has to happen though.
So I wanted to. So you said 16% of the master.
Yeah.
is the artist, and then 80% is owned by the label.
Yeah.
Now, why is that? Is it because is it justified because of the money that the label will put into it to own 80%, or how do you feel about it?
I mean, you're the first person I would say that like would even ask that good of a question because it's true. It's like when you look at like risk allocation, right? Business and the label's giving you like $500,000 and you want to own your master and control your master and you want to like it just don't make sense. Like who would ever give you money and be like, nah, like you're gonna get you gotta get your return on your investment.
Exactly.
So I don't hate labels for that regard. I hate labels for giving out like 6 album deals with like an $80,000 advance and then shelving artists because they don't, they can't make the money back. It's like you knew that he wasn't even that type of artist. Why? Like, I just feel like they use there's like an algorithm based strategy they use for like streaming, and then there's also some other stuff they use to sign guys, and it's like I think it's a lot of people's problem with them. It's like y'all know better, like, and then you still give out these horrible deals and just lock people in, and then like there's dudes who just can't get out their deal, and you never hear from them again.
Why would a label want to do that in the first place? Why would they want to shelf an artist? Or
because it's like a potential. It's a potential thing. It's like maybe it does go
right.
But they're not gonna put money into you. At some point, if you lost their money, it's like they're not gonna put money into you, and they're also gonna be like, I'm not letting you go. Like
so anything that you
to go to another label and
so
run
they kind of
there.
you kind of gotta buy back your situation almost. That's why you hear about like that, like buying back or like I had to pay out of my deal.
Right.
That's that. Like it's like, yo, you didn't make the label money, you lost money, and you have to buy back.
It's like you're in debt.
Yeah, you're in debt. But you are in debt.
Yeah. But it seems like a real expensive like business model for a record label. It seems like a lot of money would be lost doing that.
We always talk about how many artists recoup. It's not much. I think in the past 10 years it's been horrible just because of the state of the music business. It's been picking up obviously because of streaming, but for sure. Most artists don't recoup. So but then the ones who do are recouping
a lot.
Yeah, recouping 30 times over. So yeah, that's that battle. Most artists aren't going to recoup. That's why I like negotiating terms. I'm actually negotiating with Universal for younger artists right now. And the artist we're just trying to push hard on these option periods because like an option, a 1 year, 1 album, 1 mixtape deal, that's what they'll say, right? Or a single deal. I'm sure have you heard of single deals? Like,
I've heard of a single deal.
Yeah.
That's not a single deal. Like the options in that contract make it like a single deal plus like 5 albums. Like, and it's like, bro, like your rights are tied up. There's no, you don't see many. You got to have that leverage to really just get a flat out pure single deal. Like this is gonna be a single contract just for this record. Distro companies do a little bit more that like you can feel comfortable, like the Orchard or somebody like that. They'll give you a 1 song deal, maybe like a small check up front, like an advance, and then they'll help you get on, improve your platform. But yeah, it's all messed up right now. It's all messed up.
One thing you just said that made me think of something. You said a mixtape deal. And I wanted to clear that up too, because I've seen a lot of people talking about how producers and or labels are finessing producers through having artists release commercial mixtapes versus albums. What's the difference between a commercial mixtape and an
album? You'll probably get a smaller budget. Your royalty rate probably is the same. But yeah, you just there's really not much difference. It's a word.
Now I've heard like people say like, oh, Young Thug has been finessing his labels by dropping mixtapes. He's never dropped an actual album. Is that true? Or
I wouldn't call it finesse. I just think it's like your lawyer or, they're going to negotiate that sort of that deal. They're going to negotiate that sort of product deal. And so if you're a producer and if you're an artist and your label is trying to get you a situation, if you're trying to get a situation out of a label that's beneficial to you, your lawyer is going to negotiate terms in that agreement that are album equivalent, they'll call them. So meaning it doesn't have to be an album, but it could be an EP, it could be a mix of like 12 singles, so it's equivalent to an album. So like maybe 10 master recordings, like might qualify as an album period. So I wouldn't call it finesse. I just think that's just what it is. Like it makes sense almost. Like you need to have that sort of that period where we're in 2019. Who's dropping albums? Like, how many people get to an album?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's like album equivalent. That's what they sort of call that. It doesn't have to be a pure album. It could be a mixtape. It could be a 10 singles. It could be whatever it qualifies in their mind to reach an album.
So,
Yeah.
and then to your knowledge, there's no difference in the payout to the producers?
No, there's no difference. I mean, like, the producers they'll get they have the recording budget, whatever that recording fund looks like in that contract. Your younger artist is not going to be that much, but it's enough to compensate producers adequately. 4Gs up front, maybe. I always say 4Gs because I feel like that's the minimum that a bigger label would pay. Some of the smaller ones, like Alamos of the world, might pay a little less than that. But you're dealing with like Atlantic Records or a bigger record company, and let's face it, you're sign of a kind of a no-name producer at that time, you'll get a 4,000. You'll probably get 4,000 on top of. You won't get a royalty. You won't get a point though, probably.
No. Now, what about when it comes to like the mechanicals? And we had a fan question that I want to get into too. Well, I guess we'll just start with the fan question. He said, "Where is it? Let me find it." Okay, right here. Sammy Sosa said, "What is the difference between royalty points and mechanical royalties?"
Yeah, mechanical royalties are points are on the master recording flat out. Mechanical royalties like a separate royalty that happens every time you string a song, but it's just not that much. It's like it goes into a different bucket. Back in the day, that was like the price of. It doesn't really. It's funny. The concept of mechanical royalties doesn't really apply to 2019, but we still have them, and it's still like you still accumulate mechanical royalties. But that was more so on like the physical product. Like every time something was physically
Performances.
No, like it was more so like
CDs.
it was more like that. Like every time something was physically manufactured, that's where the mechanical side comes into. That's what they almost call it, a mechanical royalty. It's but now it's like when something streams on Spotify, you still get your mechanical royalty. But it's like it's OD small. It's really, really small.
And so that's not like the traditional like radio royalty or anything?
No, that's like a radio royalty would be like ASCAP and BMI.
I thought that was what mechanical was, to be honest.
No. Harry Fowlkes.
Okay.
Harry Fowlkes Agency. I don't know if you ever heard it.
Yeah. They also deal with samples and stuff too.
Yeah. Harry Fowlkes deals with samples, but Harry Fowlkes will collect your mechanical royalty. And really, it's just like it's another royalty bucket, but there's nothing. I don't know why it really exists anymore. I don't get the purpose necessarily.
Yeah.
There's not.
It's so minuscule.
But it's also just like a royalty bucket out there that exists, but it's not like
now. If you're someone like Metro, is that going to be a big check? Probably, right?
Yeah, for sure. For him, it'll be a big check just because his quality, the way he streams, man.
Catalog,
yeah. For anybody else, it's not going to be that big of a royalty situation.
Now you mentioned BMI and ASCAP. For a producer, what exactly are they collecting for you? Is that the royalty points that they're collecting?
They're collecting the public performance royalty. That could be radio. That could be when your song plays at Starbucks. They play in big venues. That's what they're, and that's only for really the songwriter. So if you're not a songwriter, you're really not getting much ASCAP. Songwriter meaning producer too.
Yeah.
That's like one of the the things that most people when we talk about like the writer royalty, you get
lyrics only.
Yeah. People be thinking lyrics only, but it's like in rap, if anyone tries to tell you differently, then they lost their mind. Like it's the beat, that composition is 50, then the lyrics are 50. You will have people tell you that it's not though. I'm just saying, like you really will. And that's what I'm saying. This whole game is like there's no law to it, and I almost feel like establishing some sort of body will be very good for that at least. Like just here's the standard, like because how we all have done some stuff, but it's like there's the standard might differ from person to person, and you're like, all right, bro, that doesn't make sense. So I think that's why I keep like stressing maybe a producing guild or something like that will establish what protocol is, right? Like you maybe they'll give you some sample producer agreements, and they'll give you the basics of what you need to know and what you should expect out of a producer deal. But that's it. like that's how that should be. Yeah.
Now for a producer, so say trying to think of like not like a super like not like a Future album or a Drake album, but maybe like Nav's album that just dropped. So if you're a producer that you just made Nav's album and you know, maybe not one of the singles or something that's really being pushed, just like, you know, maybe like a song number 7 or 8 that's getting streams and stuff. Will you see anything substantial from like BMI or ASCAP from a placement like that? Or does it have to be like kind of a big deal placement?
That's a great point. No, you'll see some. Yeah, you won't see much though. I mean, SoundExchange covers the like Pandora, the royalty that from radio that you don't control, that person doesn't control, right?
Yeah.
So it's like when you go to like artist stations, right? You'll play music and then they'll just go into that artist station.
Yeah.
Whoever gets played from that SoundExchange will collect that. So I almost feel like you actually might get like some like SoundExchange royalties, but you won't get ASCAP. You won't get ASCAP.
Any ballpark of what that SoundExchange will look like?
Not much. Yeah,
Couple
you don't get
$100
paid. You don't get
quarter?
paid much. Yeah, you won't get paid much.
Your phone bill?
Yeah, not even your phone bill.
Damn.
Like
couple Ubers a month. That's about
nah, like some Jordans. Yeah,
some Jordans every quarter.
Nah, it depends, man. It's like you don't get. That's where you shouldn't be counting your bread.
Yeah.
But I think if you make hit records, your ASCAP and BMI will be pretty solid. SoundExchange, your BMI would be pretty solid. Yeah.
Ooh, I think I'm learning a lot already. Like,
I know.
I feel like we're uncovered.
For a regular producer, like someone who doesn't have any major placements, or maybe just selling beats to their friends, or maybe they have a couple placements. What do they need to have set up? Like, you hear about SoundExchange, you hear about ASCAP, BMI, and I know for like a lot of producers, they feel overwhelmed. Like, oh, I got to sign up for this, and this. But what do they actually need?
Yeah, I mean, SoundExchange, if you're getting points on records, if you're not,
so like placements, if you're getting placements, you need to.
Yeah, if you got like points of a percentage of a master recording royalty, like then you need SoundExchange. If you're not getting those, then you don't even need it. I mean, that's just a fact. BMI, ASCAP, yeah, you should always sign up for that. That's easy. Harry Fox as well. You should always sign up for that. That's easy. Outside of that, yeah, I mean, outside of that, that's not going to make you that much money. I mean,
like a starter kit, just so a producer can feel like, okay, I'm on the right path.
Yeah, you need your PRO, you need your ASCAP BMI, you need SoundExchange, you need Harry Fox, and that's really it.
Are SoundExchange and StreamCut the same type of service?
I've never heard of StreamCut.
StreamCut, the public administration.
Okay,
For
yeah.
Like YouTube.
So SongTrust does that too. Tunecore actually has like a music publishing administration sort of arm as well. Yeah, they will act as it's an important tool. I actually recommend a lot of artists to get that if you're not signed with a publisher, or because you're probably missing out on some dough. So Tunecore has a music publishing arm administration, SongTrust, StreamCut, as you said. That's just more so. That's going to collect those things in a bucket. It's like almost like a Tunecore of the other side, if that makes sense. You know, how Tunecore collects all your royalties from like the platforms. That'll almost
like YouTube or like what?
Yeah, for sure. YouTube. They probably might connect your mechanical license. You want to do some of that stuff yourself. So it's beneficial.
So if you're a producer, like you may not have any major placements or any placements at all, but you may be a producer that sells and leases beats to a lot of guys online, and maybe accumulative, you might have a few 100,000 to millions of streams. And how would you be able to collect those? Would that be like a StreamCut or a?
You probably won't be collecting it from like just being realistic, man. It's like who's going to collect that for you, and unless you sign up for like SoundExchange and you got the letter of direction, which letter of direction shows like they'll pay you directly. So like if you do a beat deal with like a major placement, major label, you get a placement. Most beat deals will come with a letter of direction, and a letter of direction, if you're getting points, and a letter of direction will tell the label to pay you directly. Yeah, so you'll get your portion of the artist royalty directly. Yeah.
I got a question for you. What is the importance of a producer having their own publishing company or being a publishing company, like signing up for it?
It's not too important, honestly. I think it can help. I think you always want to separate sort of your. It goes back to being like a artist, being an entrepreneur and a business person. So it's separate. It gives you that personal shield. You also can get a lot of stuff like you can get music business insurance. You can get like insurance for your equipment, things of that nature that will allow you to sort of expedite some of your processes that might be slow, right? It's some of the producer equipment and other stuff can be expensive, so you just operate more like a business. But in terms of it making that much of a difference, it doesn't really. Like if you don't have a publishing producer company or anything like that, it don't really.
What about like on a major level, like dealing an independent producer dealing with major artists having his own publishing company?
I've always heard like you can't collect certain royalties without having a publishing company, being signed to a publishing company or owning a publishing company. You ever heard it?
Nah, you could just you are the publisher if you don't have a publishing company.
But don't you have to have like a separate entity?
Nah. You are if you don't have any publisher, you are the publisher. So like when you're signing up for ASCAP, it's like or BMI or other stuff. It actually if you have a publishing company. If you don't, then it's just you. You are the publisher at that moment. So like there's just benefits from like a tax and societal business structure. There's just so many benefits from that angle, but it's like not necessary. I don't think the first thing you don't have to do is get an LLC.
Right.
If I'm working with a producer, I'll probably, we'll probably start with the LLC just to separate their business endeavors on the producer side from all the other stuff. But you don't have to have one. Yeah, you don't have to have one.
Man, it seems like there's so much like it's such a game that you really have to be knowledgeable about. I'm wondering, when producers come with someone like that knows the game, like a lawyer, does that turn business down? Do other people see that and be like,
that's a fair point. Nah,
they really know what they're talking about.
No, man,
I was trying to finesse somebody today.
Yeah,
nah, that's literally the fairest point. I think that's crazy. I've been dealing with that the past like 5 or 6 months, heavy, just because some of my producers were like on the way up, and some were just like coming up, and they just had some right. And yeah, for sure, if you send like. When you start talking real business and like what you're actually owed and the landscape, it's horrible. Like they get turned away. That's a fact. So I'm weird in the sense where I'm like, yo, you almost gotta take your lumps. Like then you just to get to a point of like, because the game just not where it needs to be. You gotta take your lumps. You probably have to not get compensated
for a lot of early work.
Yeah, but even that sounds crazy to me even say. Like, I wouldn't even say that because it's like,
take some hits. Like
I'm just tired of seeing producers sharing work that they made that they're not getting paid for. Like I'm just for exposure and all that. I'm just tired of that. I'm like, yo, why is this business like this? This is horrible. And so I'm just like the landscape of the music business for me, man. I'm definitely almost fed up. And I'm not going to say I'm trying to make enemies, but I'm definitely not trying to be. I definitely lost that like friendly, appearance. I don't have it anymore, man. It's like, the game needs to like get shaken up, and starting from the labels down to the unsigned artists and understanding what they're actually owed.
Right.
Yeah. I would say the dichotomy between, the producer and the artist, like the relationship between the producer and the artist is so swayed in the artist's favor that it just doesn't make sense at any point. Where when you realize in hip hop, it's like really like half the record should be dedicated. It's really in some situations you might even say, the beat played a bigger portion.
Of course.
What? So that's why I'm like I'm pretty like fed up with that sort of that situation right now. So that's why I think there needs to be a sort of big, like maybe at next year's South by Southwest. I think that's what I'm trying to organize, sort of like a big producer talk in a sense that it's like a town hall, like not necessarily like a panel discussion, but more so like a town hall. Yeah. And we're really just setting the standard. All right, this is what it is. This is publishing. Every producer should get dealing with this situation to get this amount of the master recording, this percent of the that's how it should be, and then we could just this becomes so much easier. Like it's harder when it's like this. Like People
It's
just
like,
trying to
people
finesse
just
people.
need to be aware at first.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
every producer needs to have like a textbook, like a little pamphlet. Like you come to the town hall meeting, everyone get your pamphlet.
Yeah, you get your
Facts.
pamphlet.
Right,
Now,
right.
yeah.
It's really like
down.
arming all the producers.
Yeah.
Like they
But
gotta
I almost
right,
feel
yeah.
like artists need to be there though. It's
With
like almost
information.
it wouldn't even be beneficial if it's
if
all
an artist
producers.
didn't know.
Yeah, if it was
Because
all
then we'll be
producers.
eating them.
Because then the artists would be
Oh.
the artists would be
Eating them.
mad though too. Because if they're not aware that like if you come to them and say like, look, this is what I owe, blah blah blah. They're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
It's like, oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, the amount of artists who are trying to finesse, a producer out of money is gonna be crazy. Like they gonna talk like they experienced attorneys and they've been. I see it all the time. Like it's crazy. Nah, it's wild.
I feel like I need to go to law school now.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I learned
playing
more
that
outside
game.
the law school though. I ain't gonna lie. Or just
For real.
being around the game and just like studying it my whole life. Like I just been studying the music business my whole life, even before I was in law school. So I think that's almost more important than the law. You can learn, like as long as you have like a capacity to learn, like you can just learn laws but I think seeing how it fits in and being able to predict what's next, that's like that's like a history class, and just feeling out the industry and the game and just almost being, a visionary in that sense. I think that's like two different things.
Now you wrote about this in an article. In
Right.
one of your articles, you talked about how you really need a lawyer that is able to predict the future.
Yes. No, I think that's like super important, especially dealing with some of these labels when if you're an artist and you're signing a record label deal, you got to be able to forecast like what's the next big play, sort of what direction we're going and what terms are like. For me, I still think flexibility is like OD important. So
Right.
I hate seeing like 6-album deals or like that's crazy. That just feels weird. How many artists even get to 6 albums, 6
Right.
projects, like even projects like on one label? How many artists get to 6 projects? Like deals should never be that long. Stuff like that gets me mad. Like, but I think we've gotten to at least a standard on the artist side, where like merch rights, like labels aren't really fighting for that anymore. So most labels, you just want to, if you have any attorney who knows what they're doing, they're saying, no, you ain't getting merch. Labels gonna be all right, yeah, that's fine. Even on the touring side, they'll get less than 10%, and that's even probably after. Like they'll only get 10% after the artist makes $200,000 per contract period. So if they haven't made $200,000 off touring, they won't even get any percentage. So that's the sort of small stuff where I feel like they've made some progress on the artist side, but on the producer side, it's like I don't know if you've seen some of these like producer deals, like with labels, like publishing, like not publishing deals, but more so like
signing producers.
Yeah, signing producers. Have you guys been seeing that?
No, not really.
Like you mean like a Warner deal or like more of like an actual label deal?
Yeah, I've seen like producers begin like somewhat like weird production deals.
Like what you mean? Like explain.
Like a producer signing to like a small, like maybe an indie label or maybe even a bigger label, and they just sign like almost the same way kind of like an artist signs.
I know what you're saying, like signing to like a YSL or something.
Yeah. I've been seeing that a lot, and I'm just like, nah, that's a scam.
I wanted to ask you about. You said it's a scam. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a scam. What? How does that even make sense?
Well, I guess it's so.
Their placement should be like worldwide. Like, what?
Well, if you sign to a YSL, I guess they'll probably be like, yo, if you sign to us and you're attached to us, then shoot, we'll rock with you and we'll do more of your beats. I don't know,
but it seems like it's kind of putting you in a box.
Sometimes
is that the point you're kind of?
Yeah, one, it puts you in a box, and two, it's like, what are your splits? What? I don't even know what that. Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot, bro. Like, I'm just like, I couldn't imagine, I couldn't fathom that deal being beneficial.
Oh, you saying that you know what the splits look like?
Yeah, one, seeing the splits, and then also like knowing how could that deal be beneficial for a producer? Like, producer splits are already getting the worst. Now you're signing to a bigger entity where you're probably gonna get sliced even
smaller. It's like you go from a bigger pool to a smaller pool to a smaller pool.
The like for instance, like Weezy. What if the benefits outweigh that? So it's like Weezy's getting Drake placements, he's constantly getting Thug placements, Future placements.
But how many Weezys are there though? Like how many people is that actually happening?
But him getting Drake placements, you think that's a product of him signing?
I mean, I feel like,
or him being.
I feel like him
dope.
signing. Don't you think him signing to Thug really like that's when he obviously turned up?
Well, that's what we talked about on the Mario podcast about cosign.
Did something for his image like the cosign did.
Yeah. And I feel like if you're,
why can't we cosign without signing deals
without money?
True. I feel like if you're,
I feel like Roddy Ricch got cosigned by. I'm from like the Philly area, so like I'm tied into the Philly music scene. Like Meek co-signed Roddy Ricch super early. I'm talking about last year we had Made in America. we're all rocking backstage. Everyone's like, yo, Meek's like, yo, this is the guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
And he came out and did the festival, and that was the first time a lot of us heard of him. But Roddy ain't signed no papers.
Right.
Damn.
But I just feel like that's like
a true cosign. But it's like when they're coming with like, yeah, I'm gonna highlight you. I'm a major artist. I'm gonna highlight this producer, but on the backside, like I already got him locked down on papers.
Yeah, I would say never sign to another artist. I just flat out. I mean, that's just how I would feel. I don't know. I see Tay Keith like doing his production side. He's signing our producers now, which is dope. I'm actually interested to see that because maybe I know he has like his little college. He has a college degree. You know, he's a business. I think he's a business guy. If I feel bullish or good about one situation, I feel like he might make something work. Like he might like do something cool. Build like some sort of producer camp that's like beneficial to all parties. Yeah, I think he's doing something cool, but I would never sign to an artist ever, and I think I wouldn't do that.
Or a producer.
I wouldn't sign a producer either.
No?
Yeah, no, I just don't see I don't see the benefits.
Yeah, because the paperwork may not make sense. But what if it makes sense though? What if it's like, yo,
like signing the 808?
Paperwork's gonna be bad.
Okay.
Nah, just no way. There's no way around.
No way.
I don't know. The paperwork's gonna be bad.
So it's gonna always be a better benefit to be your own entity, and until it's like,
I get. Honestly, it's a point where it's like, how long is that deal? How long is that deal one? Do you have long-term flexibility? Are you good now with like sometimes if you got nothing else really going and like you kind of in like a patch? All right, I get it. Like you sign to another producer, you get the cosign, you kind of get your flow going, and then you move forward, and that's why the deal was like it's a productive deal on both sides. That could be beneficial. Like even signing to a label, I feel like it's like the same situation where I'm working with some artists where like they don't got that much buzz, but the label's gonna put some money behind it, and the deal's not too long, and I'm like, all right, like you're not rest in peace. How many Nipseys are there where they can like take 10 years and fight and grind, get to a point where you're gonna get to 50-50 splits, and you're gonna do it all yourself. You got a clothing store.
Who's that patient, right?
Yeah, who's gonna? How many people out there got that sort of fortitude?
Turn down bags and.
Not many people, man.
Grind it out from the bottom.
Yeah. I was saying another article, you just literally wrote the same thing.
Yeah. So that's where I'm just trying to get people to start thinking like thinking creatively about this music business, because like what's existed doesn't mean it's good. That's why like guys like Steve Stout coming with like United Masters, like I think sometimes they push the independence thing a little too far. But I like it. It's disruption. It's true disruption. And it's changing the way a lot of artists are viewing label situations, and it's going to make the labels offer better deals and put pressure on them to sort of, amend some of the terms that have been screwing artists, because now there's more business in the game, right? Distro companies are signing artists. Right. You know what I'm saying? People are getting distro deals that are, with advances and stuff like that. Like, so,
what do you think about stuff like that?
I like it. I still think there's value in a label. I don't think all artists should be signed to labels, but there's value in a label. And you look at the biggest superstars, they're all signed to labels, right? So it's like, I don't think that's any coincidence. But that deal should look right a certain way. And you might not get that. You might not own your masters your first deal. I always talk about it. It's like everyone wants to own their master. That's like the cliche term right now. But you might not own it your first deal, but if you're in a position to own your second deal and you're still in your prime, you're working, and you get that short. That's why I always stress, short-term flexibility, like long-term flexibility, a shorter deal, because that situation works out. Now, when you're a free agent for your second contract, almost like the NBA, you can sort of demand. That's almost like a standard. You can demand that, but you're not. No one's going to give you your masters really if you're taking a big advance. Like that's just what it is. Yeah.
Now, what do you think? I was gonna say, what do you think about imprint deals? I've been hearing about those a lot more lately.
Yeah, they could be cool. They could be beneficial. I mean, there's a group I'm working with out of Philly, Wall Street Entertainment. They got this girl named FH Snoop. She's super hard. Like I'm telling you, she got a record called Caribbean Joint. That's it's going to be everywhere next. You heard it first too, right here. It's going crazy right now in the city. But I think they're sort of using the limp imprint wave to that's what they're sort of shopping. I think it's a good play if you're in a good camp, because we have to acknowledge that labels still got pull and radio. They're still big banks. Like everyone, how many people are putting their own money up for deals and stuff like that. You can get lines of credit. You can get a lot of good stuff if your imprint signed. You get like a budget to sign artists up front. You make it back, and whatever procedure you make it back in. But I like it. Maybe that's something I went down the line, like in my career, in my life.
Yeah.
But you almost don't have to anymore. I'm almost of that creed where it's like, I worked in finance and investment. I think you can get that money without being with a label.
Just through loans and
like investments. I feel like everyone wants a piece of the entertainment industry. It's like, I challenge people to be creative with their like,
and get private investors, kind of.
Yeah, just be creative with
be a
it.
salesman,
I just think you can be. I think you can be really like. How many people want to be a part of entertainment? Like Red Bull, like Urban Outfitters, like so many other companies right now are just like getting into the music space.
Right.
Where I just think you got to just start understanding where you fit in. I think producers they're probably the least productive right now in that regard. Like I don't think they see themselves. Back when hip hop started, I hate to be that guy. But like, remember the DJ and the producer was like the most important part. He was the star, and the guy rhyming was like some dude on the side,
just like the hype.
Yeah, it was the hype. Yeah, that was it. That was really a landscape. And then somewhere along the line, I got lost. But I feel like maybe Murder Beats and some of these other guys are Metro. They're sort of, they're like, nah, it's gonna be Metro Boomin featuring
Right.
Or it's gonna be like Drake featuring Metro. It's gonna be like my name's gonna be a feature artist, or like when you're featured, it's like you're gonna get your points, and that's what I think producers gotta start thinking to sort of gain that leverage back in this ecosystem. Because when you look at record labels, they're gonna eat. You look at artists, they're gonna eat because they have touring and merch. Not saying producers can't do some merch, but and maybe tour as a DJ or whatever it is, but that's not really their lane. Like, so the labels eat, the artists eat. But producers are only sort of community eating only off their music, right? Like that's really like that's the only community in music. And you look at the ecosystem, producers are the only one eating off the music, and streaming's not good. Like it's not that much. Like we haven't really figured out the streaming payout situation that's going to make sense for everybody. Like dudes are streaming 1 million times and getting whatever that it's a small number,
$4,000.
You know what I mean? So. That's where it is. So
not even, right?
Yeah, I challenge producers right now, like to be like, yo, how can I get other streams of revenue? You got to start branding yourself. You got to start thinking of yourself as like an artist, because you are one. And you're super important to the ecosystem. So it's like you're back. Just being that producer in the corner is not cool no more, in my opinion. Like you got to be, you almost got to be a star in your own right. So I think that shift has to come back to play before. When I project, as I project, we were talking about like projecting, predicting. I think that has to happen, really, for producers to sort of gain more place in this ecosystem.
So I mean, you can see the effects of that, like especially in the pop world, or like with people. It's like they're their own.
Love it.
Like they're going crazy.
Great point. Like Marshmello, those dudes are like
going crazy,
nuts. Like Calvin Harris, Calvin Harris is like he's a producer. He doesn't make music.
I'm gonna add something.
Yeah,
like a lot of producers are not entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
true.
And it's kind of like even for engineers, it's kind of like not a soul dream, not a soul dream, but like the label or the people, they might value being around an artist. They might value like, being in the spotlight and the artist more than business, or like having their own, you know what I'm saying? That's why they want to be more of an entrepreneur.
They kind of they're more dependent.
Yeah, and then later they'll realize like, damn, I don't got my own business behind myself. It's just like, I was just doing music.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like a soul dream. That's why I'd always,
not just for the clout. I mean, a lot of times, not everyone's born to be an entrepreneur, you know what I mean?
Facts. I mean, no, that's the biggest fact, right? Like you can say it's true. It's like, but I think there has to be like you can't. I feel like you can't just always want to be in the background and not get like if you produce a huge record, like I almost feel like you got to produce a merch or some shit. Like I don't know, like you got it. Like what do you like? Off the music alone is it's just not enough. Like we talked about mechanical royalties earlier. Like that's a small bucket.
Drop a kit.
Yeah,
like
drop a kit. It's a small bucket. The mass recording royalty, like we said earlier, you might get you might have gotten a big event, a big advance against maybe royalties, or you might have just got paid for that beat, like a work for hire situation. A lot of labels would do that to inexperienced producers. So you get like a, like I said, $4,000, $10,000, and that's what you get, and that's it, right? You're not getting that. You get your publishing as well, but that's all money off of music. And we've all talked about there's really not that much money
in actual music,
the raw music,
right? So yeah,
that's one of the things I heard Nipsey say. He's like, he talked about Disney. Like when you go to Disney, they got earmuffs, they got cups, they got mugs, they got all the merchandise. Like, but in music, a lot of people they only give them one like piece of content. Product. Yeah, it's just the music or maybe a T-shirt.
Right. So it's hard. That's why it's like hard for me to like. I feel like that's what I'm saying. Like I challenge producers as well. As like I definitely fight for producers. Like I would call myself like a producer advocate on that side, especially on the law side. But I'm also like, yo, come on, like it's time to stand up and like and be entrepreneurs and sort of take some of that spotlight because you guys do some amazing stuff in the industry. Like we should know your names just as much as some of the artists' names. Like
so, wouldn't you advise a producer who wants to? Because if like that's the main goal for a producer, like yo, I want to be in the music industry and work with artists. Wouldn't you advise them to like build like a really large catalog? If that's their goal to make money off of music, then they would just need to build a really large catalog.
Yes,
if that's their goal.
I would say they need a really large catalog and keep getting better with your splits over time. Like just because. I mean, you gotta pay your dues. Like, I think maybe our generation is a little too entitled. Like, maybe I was like the millennial generation. Everyone's like, I hate to be an old head. I'm 26, so I'm not. It's not like I'm an old head. But like, I think millennials sometimes can just be like, yo, I deserve this, that, and that. I'm like, you kind of gotta pay your dues because like early on in your career, like you can get similar levels of production from some other person probably, but I think as you grow in the industry. A tag means a lot sometimes. Like, you hear the tag in the beginning of a record, you're like, oh, shit, you get hyped.
That's what we're talking all about last episode.
And that's what it is. It's like it's a selling chip. When you start like getting to a level producer where you're actually helping sell the record, right? Like your name means something. It's like, oh, that guy produced that.
Right.
Like, come on. Like, if that dude's not getting a good percentage of like, if he's not getting big points, I'm like, I don't know what else is. Like, what else you need to do to deserve points? So, but that's like, it's still not standard, man. I think the guy's name is DJ Beats One. You know what I'm talking about?
Pain One.
DJ Beats One. Love that guy.
Yeah, we fuck with Pain One.
That guy goes crazy.
We had him on the podcast too.
Yeah, that guy goes crazy. Educator, Kato.
Yeah. Oh yeah, shout out to Kato.
Another one. Educator. Speaking at real on producers. Like it's just more of that stuff where I'm like, man. We just as much as you fall in love with the production side of it, I think you got to fall in love with the business side of it, and not everyone has to be an entrepreneur. I love that. I think that's so true. But you got to just you got to know what your product is worth and not get abused continuously, man. And it happens so much. Like in the studio, how many artists I just been in it where I just like, yo, this is crazy. So. I'm looking, man. That's why I project in my career and stuff. I would love to work in like the J. Cole camps and those types of worlds where I know that the business is way better. I just know it. I
think the trap scene is just
and I love trap music. Like that's what I grew up on. So it's like, I'm always gonna be a part of it. But it's like it's just a culture. It's like it's off. It's like just the whole scene itself is like I'm not gonna beat around the bush. It's the drugs, it's the all the other stuff. It's like
janky promoters.
Like studio sessions are crazy. The business being done is just crazy.
It's a lot of egos.
Yeah, it's a lot of egos. Like there's a lot of just messy stuff going on. So it's like, all right, like if you're working in that space, you're going to get those. You're almost going to get that response. Like, that's what that industry looks like right now. So man, I just think we need to clean it up. It's time to clean it up. Like it's too much money.
Make contracts cool.
Like rap is the most streamed genre, in the world right now. Right. So it's like, yo, this is it. This is the time to win and monetize. And I feel like right now we're not ready for it in a lot of different directions, and some people aren't eating off of it. And then we're going to hear 20 years, 30 years from now, those people like it's going to be the sad stories, like the behind the scenes joints, like we're going to see those things again, and it's going to be sad, for no reason.
One thing I definitely wanted to touch on was we've talked about this a little bit. So what do you do if a song gets released and no one ever reached out to you, whether they're attached to a label or?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the real scenarios, man. I'm gonna give you the real scenarios. You get a lawyer who can work on the back end until it's figured out. So that's what I recommend. It could be a little longer. It can be you might not get as swift, but you will maintain relationships. It won't be as crazy. It won't play out online and all this stuff.
Don't go to Twitter.
Yo, it's funny, man. I know a good, really, really, really good attorney out in New York, younger guy named Adam Freeman. I just scrolled on something today. He put something out like on Twitter, like, yo, this guy didn't pay producer again or whatever. And it's like, I don't blame him, man. I don't. That's not probably how I operate. I just can't. I'm not really built that way. But I don't hate him, and I'm sure that's efficient in some ways. It is because it's like, yo, you ain't the court of public opinion is really like sometimes stronger than the real court. Like
someone wants to clean that up.
Yeah, someone's gonna clean it up. So it's like, yo, it's gonna happen. Like something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I also feel like where I'm from and just like the people I work in the industry, it gets real. Like I'm talking outside of the law stuff. Like I'm good on the other side too, and I just understand that like some dude who's not really about it, going online and talking crazy and looking in that rap space. Like I'm not going to advise that. Like I'm not going to. I'm just not going to advise that. Like unless you're ready for it. There's a couple producers where I might advise that. Like here's a dude who produced Mexico Joe. Yeah, I might advise that. Like, nobody's gonna touch that.
Anybody gonna touch Joe?
Yeah, that guy. All right, like whatever. Yeah, take whatever route you want to take. But some of the other stuff, it's like, nah, you can't. You're not gonna do that. Like, you just can't do that.
That's real shit.
It really is though. Like that really is.
Yeah, but I don't. And also, it's just like that's just the way it is. I feel like at some point you just gotta like throw it on the back end and let someone else. But in reality, the rights to that record, you could get that record taken down. I always tell people, I'm not sure how beneficial that is because you probably want it to stream if it's making money and if you got the producer credit. But if you produce that record and you didn't get there's no agreement, you didn't get compensated, you can get that record taken down. Like you own part of that world. You can get that taken.
Who do you
down.
contact? Just
you can do like you can go straight to the sources. Like if you want to, like you can go straight to the Apple Music's, Spotify, TuneCore, whatever it is, like they get the.
Probably need a lawyer though for that every time, right?
No. You can
file. You go straight to him.
You can file copyright infringement. It's like a TMCA takedown. It's like, and then like it is a conflict point now. Like both sides go back and forth, have to prove their sort of argument. I don't like that either, just because
like tattletelling.
That gets nasty. Like it just gets. It is also just like it's like putting a gun in somebody's head. It's like that sort of negotiation. Whereas like now, you put a gun in somebody's head, what he gonna do?
Right.
Like
get him percentages up.
He gonna pull another. It's gonna get nasty. But you can't do that. That's always the last resort. I always feel like that's the last resort for me. It's like if I've been negotiating on my end for a month and a half, 2 months, and the label sort of just bullshitting and the producers or everybody around that camp, then it's like, all right, man.
It's like the final straw.
You gave me no choice.
Right.
Like we gonna get that record. We gonna have to deal with it this way.
Right.
But that's why does it even have to get to that point? That part of it gets still just like that's what I'm saying, man.
I feel like that's them trying to test the waters and kind of gauge how serious you are.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of times it's like they don't got the budgets for it. It's like that's only a smaller label situation. I feel like it don't really happen with the bigger labels. Maybe there's some like stuff that they didn't know about in the production side that you have to make them aware of. That's different, right? It's like, yo, I actually did co-produce this, this and that. And they didn't know, or cool, because maybe the other producer was acting like he produced the whole record. That's something. But some of the smaller labels, I feel like just don't got budgets, and
they try to just
they just do
weasel through.
They just because they work in that space in the trap side where it's like a lot of people are just happy to get credit.
Yeah,
right.
So like, shit, see if they're happy with just the credit.
Yeah, like
they'll hit us up. They'll hit us up.
Yeah, I feel like and it's like you look weird for speaking out almost. Like that's what they'll try to make it feel like.
Wow.
Yeah, they'll try to make it feel
That's
like
so fun.
yeah. So and then that's why like we got lawyers like Adam Friedman who were like, nah, we gonna go online then. Because like people don't talk about it.
Yeah, we actually that's crazy. One thing we want to bring up, that's crazy. This is something happened, I think today or yesterday just happened. With Adam Freeman. He deals with a producer named Palace 808 Mafia, who we had
this
on
is
the
what
show.
I was talking about.
You're talking about the Midi?
Oh yeah, I was just talking because I just saw that. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like online. I saw that joint. I was like, oh, that's what I mean. It's like Adam, like you know, we get coffee, check in, like just talk about the landscape of the music business. But yeah, I saw the whole thing play out.
What's your thoughts on that? On like midis and not being protected and all that?
This is almost more like a theoretical argument. This is like a sort of the state of the game, more so maybe the law. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think like I didn't like the Marvin Gaye Blur Lines ruling. You know that one?
That's one thing we
that's what we're literally just talking about.
Yeah, I didn't like any of that stuff where like we're talking about the essence of a beat or like a core progression maybe being protected and or you deserve
interpolated.
Yeah, I don't really know, especially in a genre that's so, you know, reused and I don't know, man. I just think we're getting into a tricky place. I wouldn't necessarily maybe fight that. I'd just be like, man, that's probably a part of the game. But if my producer wanted me to go hard, I'll go hard. That's more of a him thing or how he felt about it. But me personally, you know, I just think you take your losses. Sometimes you're fighting over, and then you start fighting over crumbs. Maybe that record's big, so it's like let's not fighting over crumbs. But if that's not a big record, like it's not a big artist, like come on, man, we just wasting time at this point for some small. Just take the credit online, you know, do that and just move
be a
forward.
hustler and try to turn that into something.
Yeah, turn that into something.
This.
Yeah, facts. And like, and then if they say something else, then you can take the other route. But it's like not everything's worth fighting. It's like the art of war. It's like, you know, how much money and resources and time and effort you want to spend fighting something that just because you want to prove a point.
Right.
Maybe that's the point that you want to prove. Fine. Like maybe that's your card. That's the one you want to draw on line and say, you know, I ain't happening again. I'm gonna set this. All right, that's cool. But it can't be some repeated thing where you're just feeling like, you know, I think we start getting to the chord progression, especially in like trap. You know, I just started dabbling into the reggaeton space. I got some people over there, and I love it. I think the next Drake and the next huge artist is coming, and it's kind of already. I'm not gonna play Bad Bunny or Ozuna because they are huge, but like I think the next like superstar is gonna be like a Spanish English infused artist. That's just the nature of it. But I've been dabbling in that space, and it's like, bro, half the beats like really sound like 90% of the beats sound the same. Like I'm telling you, like the whole.
You stole my drum pattern.
So I haven't even really started digging into what that looks like yet, and what that space. But I'm curious. Because I feel like trap's a little like that. It's not as much. There's more complexities.
A little bit more variation.
There's levels to it. But like when you start getting into like dissecting some of the elements of trap, and I'm like, come on, man. We I feel like at this point, like someone who produced a record that came out this week sounds like another record that came out maybe 4 years ago. If someone's really clocking it, because y'all know the BPMs and all that other stuff. Y'all could do some stuff where you layer it and it sounds the exact same. You know, I have producers do that all to call me up, like, yo, Karl, I got a situation. I go over and it's like it's some song that they produced like 6 years ago, and there's a new song right now. Sounds somewhat.
Do I got a case?
Right.
Yeah, when they put it next to each other, and I'm not going to hate, like, it sounds somewhat serious, but I'm like, but it's like, well, yo, then it's like the cost benefit analysis. Like, if that record made a lot of money, that's always a factor. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. Like, if that record made a lot of money, that has to be a reason why you pursue it, because lawyer fees and all other stuff get expensive. Like, but if it's a no-name artist, maybe you use a court of public opinion, maybe you strategize and get away just to get credit, or maybe some sort of publishing. But even then, it's like you're fighting over crumbs a lot of the time. It's the music side. You start selling T-shirts.
Right.
Packs, kits, all
that's what kits. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So go ahead.
I was just gonna elaborate. I was like, I think I brought this up a while ago, but like the Curtis King situation, like he had made a beat like a couple years ago, and this artist called the Suicide Boys. They literally like the exact same beat,
I remember you talking about
and he just put it online. He was like, I used to steal VSTs. They stole my beat. I chalk it up to whatever, just the game. But then I guess then like underneath his video, like some T-shirts or something is there. So
oh, look at 50. You see how he just made like $300,000 off the FOF T-shirts or whatever?
Yeah, dirty, bro.
Nah, that dude's hilarious, bro.
He's disrespectful, bro.
Yo, he's disrespectful. He's only disrespectful.
Yeah, he knows how to turn a bad situation into a good one, I guess.
For sure, yo. And that's my whole point about some of this stuff. Is like, I just hate fighting over crumbs. I feel like that's like the music business in a shell. Like, dudes just get mad like over dumb stuff. Like, you don't got no placements or nothing like that. It just like move on. Like, this one ain't gonna make it for you.
But that's hard to tell somebody though. Like when their ego is
being real. That's being real.
It's like this one ain't gonna make you, bro.
Right. Like, it's like separating like opinion and business. Like people can't do it. Like
pride.
It's your pride and your ego is like I want to prove my point.
Make you. Right. Like I'm just gonna keep it a stack. Like it probably isn't gonna make you. But if there's a claim, I'm not gonna tell them. I'm not gonna not pursue it because that's not my sort of role in it. But in my gut, like if it came down, it's like, yo, I really want to hear what you have to say, then I'd say that. But in general, it's like, nah, man, it's like, come on, man, like move forward, make some good beats, like start marketing yourself online, learn how to start from like getting in the mix, like getting in the studios, all that other stuff, like sell your brand online, like I use social really 100% for maybe it's parts to show personality, but like 90% of it's like just spreading my message and cause, like using social to educate and inform and create dialogue, spark dialogue on the music business and all that stuff. And that's what I want to continue to do.
That's one thing we definitely try to do too, is definitely try to get everyone's opinions and
we're gonna talk about this South by thing, because I'm really gonna put that. I'm gonna put some.
We definitely want to talk
I got
about
some like sponsors like who want to get involved in that. Like really just sort of, I think if people can leave with some sort of like pamphlet or structured document of like,
let's do something dope at South by. It's been kind of burnt out the past few years.
Yeah, now we got to do something dope. Something like something that's a cross between education and culture shifting and like just like I think that's ready for producers. So like now we're gonna talk about that for sure. Yeah,
it's like a producer handbook. Everybody need the producer handbook.
It's that time.
I like that. We're gonna coin that. Yo, let everyone know we're gonna get that trademark.
Producer handbook.
Yeah, producer handbook. It starts right now.
Producer safety.
One thing I want to go back and cover too, which is I think it was a fan question too. Talking about when a song gets released and you haven't been reached out, no one tried to handle the business with you. Reaching out to a lawyer. What if you can't afford a lawyer?
Yes, that's a good question. Like, if it's like some shit like this, and I feel like the artist and producer may have potential, and I just do it. Like if it takes like 10 minutes for me to keep getting back and forth with, like how long does it really take on my end? Like I could write like a small letter that I already have pre-templated, like and just send it to the label. And so I personally will do it as a favor.
Okay.
It's lit. Yeah. No, it ain't gonna be like 10 times, but
right.
But I if it's one thing and I feel like the guy has potential and is all right, it's all right, bet cool. Like, but I'm younger and I'm not like some.
And you're in the mix too.
Yeah, I'm in the mix, so it's like you might just see me at a party or something. I might agree to it, and I follow. Like, all right, I'll do it in the morning or whatever, and I do it. Right. I feel like Adam's like that as well to some extent. But if you don't got the money, it's tough. I think you almost have to cut that out and then start thinking about the DMCA takedown strategy and
go straight for them.
Because I know artists who do that. Like I know artists who don't got no manager or lawyer who are just like they just lethal. Like they just get some shit, they'll get some shit taken down. Like if they featured on it and they weren't paid or compensated, they'll just do that on their own. It's simple. I'm telling you, go on like filing like copyright infringement, Spotify or whatever it is. Yeah. And like they just have an easy, simple portal, and you can like submit your claim. You just submit your claim, and that's it. And then the record gets taken down, and now everyone's like, "I'm sure you'll get that call from the label." Or yeah. But then it's like I feel like the only relationship I worry about in that situation is producer to the artist, and the producer to the other producers, and the producers to that community. That's the only thing I worry about. Yeah. Because like then you start getting into that like I said, I don't like when people put guns to my head. Like I don't like when people like force me to do something because then it's like, oh, you're not playing.
Right.
Yeah. But then on the other side, it was like you weren't playing for anyway because you ain't paying me for this beat. So
Right.
Yeah, I'm a lawyer, but I don't like conflict. I don't like stupid conflict. Like when there's nothing, like it just sometimes it's just like, man, a lot of it's not worth it.
Gotta like pick and choose.
You gotta pick and choose. Yeah, you miss the bigger bag worrying about the smaller bag. Yeah.
Going to another fan question. Smoking Aces 85 says, "What should you do to protect yourself when sending out loops to other producers?"
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't send out loops.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I don't really work on that. I work with a lot of producers who work in the studio and like do a lot of stuff like that. The sending out loops.
What do you mean they work in the studio? Like just play all their stuff?
No, they'll do a lot of like bespoke work. Like they'll create it in the studio with the artists. Like they'll have like the true sessions. Like back in the days, true sessions where like you hop in the studio and you build this beat from scratch and. Or if you have beats, you play them at the studio, like you said. Yeah, like you're doing the stuff like, or you send a full beat, like you send everything like that. But sending loops and all that stuff, like that leaves you, in my opinion, exposed to what we just talked about, like
a target,
some of the chord progressions and all that stuff. People stealing that, and then it's like, how much of that progression was factored into the beat, and was it like a commonly used progression or a loop, like. How can you prove that you made it? Maybe you can. You have your stems. How can you prove that you sent it? All right, you can prove that you sent it. What do you really owe now? Like like how much of the beat? Like maybe it's not. These are not questions that I will run away from necessarily. Like if it's like a loop and somebody did use your stuff and it's like the core part of the beat, I'm like, all right, yeah, you pursue it. But I don't. There's really no way. You don't send the NDA talk. I work in tech too. I do like music stuff 90% of the time, but I also have like a small tech practice, right? So I deal with a lot of NDAs and like
what is an NDA?
Non-disclosure
agreement. That's not gonna stop nobody. That's not gonna work. Yeah, I have nothing to say besides that. Besides keep making more loops. Like like you can't.
It's like you got to know this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's the game. It's like.
Maybe only send on the producers you trust.
You can't be one.
Yeah, it's like this is a weird comparison. But if you're a drug dealer, say you're Pablo Escobar, and you're trying to get your coke to America, you're gonna lose packs going to America. Like right?
Like trying though.
Yeah, because you're gonna get most of your packs over there. So it's like some of the stuff. Like as I'm saying, it's a fighting over a crumb situation. I'll get someone hit me up about like some. Artists, I don't call anybody no name or anything. Like that's crazy because everyone's gonna come up. But there's an artist who doesn't have the most, attention or hype, and it's really a record that's not gonna stream like well at all. Like even if it like gets like 200,000 streams, it's like, bro, how much you really getting off of that? Like,
shit.
Yeah, like.
$60.
Why?
Pair of Vans, the Jordans.
Pair of Vans this time.
Yeah, so some producers want everything, and that's cool. But I think those are the producers that got to start forking it up to the attorneys. Because if you want to pursue it, I don't think too many attorneys are going to shut you down. It's just like you're going to be paying like full rates and stuff like that for they go after it. Yeah. So there's no way to protect loops. Like in my opinion.
Way.
And like in like sending them out, not way.
Not Midi's like waves, like to where it can be manipulated, but not too much.
But someone can like re-engineer your stuff though. It's not like if you're a talented producer, it's like you don't gotta copy it. You can just hear it and just re-engineer it.
Yeah, but we probably talking about more in the sense when somebody take it and just take it and just turn up with it.
Use it as where it's like clearly like
like yo, that's my loop, bro. I sent you that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you definitely there's some recourse for that. Yeah, there's definitely some recourse for that. Yeah.
Let me see what else we got here, man.
I had a question I wanted to ask you at the very beginning. What is an entertainment lawyer?
That's a good question. I would say the best entertainment lawyers are obviously good on the subject matter. Like you got to be on your stuff. You got to be ahead of the game in a lot of senses. And I feel like a lot of the older attorneys, I'm not hating on them at all, but I feel like I've been able to get a big marketplace, a big chunk in the marketplace because the predictive nature of my practice, the innovative, like I'm trying to like really do deals now that shape what happens in the next 20 years. So they're like, it's like you're young and crazy enough to do it. Like you're gonna come in shaking it up. Like, but I also feel like a good entertainment attorney will connect you is like the biggest connector ever. Like my network is like not as good as like some of the bigger, entertainment attorneys, but I actually think I know a lot of the people on the street scene, especially in like New York, like the DJs and fashion people. I think I'm more connected to them, like in terms of breaking, like helping break artists and all that other stuff. So, like I think a good attorney is good subject matter wise. Like he's gonna negotiate deals for you, help you protect your IP, copyright, trademark. That's the one side. That's like what y'all think about as an entertainment lawyer. But I think the other side of that is he's like the bridge, like between you and a lot of different stuff. Like I like facilitating deals, like
kind of like a manager role
like
too,
a manager
in a sense.
role in a sense, but not as deep.
Maybe a business manager, and maybe closer to that. I would say more agent than manager. More so like you're just sort of putting together. You could just put together deals. Like you just work in so many different spaces. Like I know like brewing company over there, and it's like here's this artist. Like let's do like a showcase or something at the brewery, or stuff like that. Like a manager sometimes like might not just be in those rooms or circles. Like they're really handling the day-to-day stuff. And I think a good attorney can handle like that. Can really connect the dots in a lot of different ways. Like that's a good attorney. But that's a good question. I think another good question is how much you should be paying for a good entertainment attorney.
Talk about that.
What is it?
Yeah. No, that's crazy. I'm not gonna give my rates specifically just because I just wouldn't. But I think when you're doing deals, I think historically it sort of worked as you get a percentage of the deal or you get the hourly rate. It depends who's paying for it. I think if you're paying for it, you want the hourly rate, especially as you do bigger deals, right? Like you're selling a beat or you're signing some sort of beat or publishing deal. Maybe the publishing company wants you and your advance might be like, $300K. Like I don't know, Mustard just signed like a publishing deal. How much you think his advance was?
700.
It was 700.
Is that too crazy?
No, I think it could be more. Like maybe it could be like $1 million. Like I don't know. Like it's Mustard. Like this guy. Right.
So I said 1.3.
Like it's like top 10 like hits. Yeah. Like they gonna make that back. So it's a lawyer getting 5% of that deal is kind of a lot. Like how much is that? Like 50,000? Like
I'm crazy. Like
no, it's 35.
30. Yeah.
Right.
What he said.
So
what? That's
700K.
I mean, I wouldn't.
Of a deal though?
Oh, okay.
Right,
yeah, like
I don't even know him, right?
Imagine if I like negotiated that for like a week, maybe like 2 weeks, maybe.
What, a couple grand, maybe like $5,000 at max.
In hourly.
Yeah, if I was doing hourly, say my hourly rate is say $300,000 an hour. And I work.
You're not putting 100 hours.
Yeah, you're not putting 100 hours.
That's 1,000 hours.
That's 1,000.
1,000 hours.
Yeah, 1,000 hours. Yeah, you might put 100 hours in. That's like what?
3 bands.
Yeah, 3 bands. Like that's the stuff.
I'm a Russian.
So know that Russ actually tweeted that. He was like, "Yo, Russ is crazy, man. That guy I love that guy a little bit. Yo, he just goes wild on Twitter." But yeah, Russ was like, "Yo, don't let your lawyer get."
I think Romeo brought that up.
Yeah, he's like, take the hourly rate over the the sort of percentage of the deal because it just depends who's paying for it too. Though, like a lot of labels, if you negotiate deals, it doesn't even come out your advance. It doesn't come out anything. They just pay these. So they just pay the lawyer. So it doesn't come out your advance. Doesn't come off any recording budget. Doesn't come off anything.
It's nice.
It's nice for me too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, it's nice for everybody in that sense. That's why like, people gotta watch it. That's why a lot of lawyers. That's why I be online talking trash about lawyers a lot too. Cause
it seems like you can be real snaky as a lawyer too.
Yeah, because then I have all the incentive in the world to get that deal done.
Right.
Like, so it's like I'm not gonna tell you like this is the bad deal. I might be like, it's not a bad.
Yeah.
Because I want my 20 G's from the label.
Right. Damn.
But, or whatever it is.
You really gotta trust your gut.
You gonna shop around? Would you suggest shopping around?
2 lawyers.
Get a background check.
Background check.
Nah, those be the
Carfax.
worst, man. The dudes tied. I always say the guys tied into the industry, they all in cahoots. It's like dudes at the table, like they probably going to lunch with the bull. Like he has every incentive to sign. Yeah. Yeah. How would you know a good? That's another good question. But I feel like you want somebody who's probably a little bit rogue. Not so much. He knows people, but he's not like overly friendly. Like you just want somebody who's a little bit more rogue. Like just because his interests will lie solely with yours, and I think anybody pushing you toward a deal, you gotta watch for it too. Yeah, it's like, why you want me to do this deal so bad? I know why. Yeah.
Hey man, I think this has been a real dope ass episode.
Fire.
I think people are gonna watch this 2-3 times. Get on
Yeah, now I'm excited, man. This is
all the value.
Bookmark it, save it. Download it to their YouTube.
Nah, for sure, man.
This is gonna go down as a legendary ass piece of content in the producer community. Though. Definitely.
We're gonna bring this back something crazier though at South by Southwest. Though you heard it first. Like anybody listening to this, I'm a follow with you guys and really like try to make this happen on a big scale. Like I think the time is now. We have the bandwidth, people's attention. They want this, so it's like we go crazy with it. Yeah.
Shout out where they can go follow you and everything, man.
Yeah, man. On every Twitter, Instagram, ESQ Folks. I run out Folks Firm.
Spell Folks for him.
Yeah, FOWLKES. So that's at ESQ FOWLKES. I operate my solo practice out of New York, in the Philadelphia region, but I'm pretty nationwide with a lot of the things I do. So yeah, that's where you can get me at.
Another dope episode in the books, man.
Peace, y'all.
Signing out.
Yeah, that was good, man.